How's it going, YouTube? Jamie the Kid 00 here, coming to you guys with a very special tournament report. This is going to be my tournament report for UK Nationals 2013. I don't know if this fits in the camera, but this is the map from UK Nationals. I ended up, as the title will say, finishing in the top 16 with Mono Mermail, losing out to Jake Quincy in the mirror match, 2-1. It was a really good game. It ended up just coming down to a kind of, both of us had bad hands, and he managed to play out of it, which was kind of expectable. He was the better player in the match, really. I'm going to be talking about my matchups kind of after the deck profile, but I really don't remember that much about what happened because day 1 was 10 rounds and it ran from 11 AM to 9 PM, and I was absolutely knackered. I can hardly remember anything that happened. So I have a list of like my scores, but I don't remember anything of the specifics. So I'm just going to get into the deck profile. These are the new sleeves from the event. They are really, really nice. So those of you who are going to nationals in other countries, these are gorgeous. And this was part of my deck box, so I just thought I'd have that in the video. But yeah, let's move all that stuff out of the way. So for the main deck, it was really, really standard, and I ended up having to like fully rarity haul this. All my ultras into ulti because all the Cosmo Blazer stuff has, as a lot of people will know, has natural bends, and I didn't want to lose get any game losses for bend cards, which one of my opponents did. So I'm kind of glad I ended up rarity bumping the whole deck. So to start things off, I played one Abyss Lead. Abyss Lead was great. I summoned it loads over the event, but I summoned it twice using its actual effect and resolved the search for the sphere both times. So that was really awesome. I only ever took cards out of my opponent's hand, I think maybe 3 times over the event. I didn't use that effect very often, and I probably should have used it more, but I didn't open the kind of Megalogund Abyss Lead hand very often. I think I only got that play off once when it really mattered in round 10, which I'll tell you about in a bit. But this card was so good. Then I played 3 copies of Abyss Megalo, just fairly standard Abyss Megalo. I only resolved the effect of Megalo 9 times during the event, I believe. I summoned this guy 9 times. Which was a crazy amount. Like I hardly ever drew this. A lot of the time I had to search off of Dragoons, and a lot of the time I ended up winning my games with Abyss. So carrying on, I then played 3 copies of Mermail Abyss. Abyss was so good over the event. Like the amount of plays that set me up. I opened this and Dragoons maybe 4 times, and each time like won me the game instantly. Like, this card was so damn good, and it put in so much work. The only time it was bad was against Jake Quincy, when I opened a hand of this and Marksman. So, such is life. Then I played 3 copies of probably the best card over the event. 3 copies of Mermail Abyss Lind. Like, there were so many games I was able to grind out using these as pressure cards. Like, these were so good. And just spawning me big monsters was just so effective. So, I love my Linds, and I love having them all in ulti finally. Then I played 3 copies of his Pike. The Pike is just the Pike, and it's absolutely standard. So integral for making your Dweller plays in the mirror and things like that. And then we're going to move on to the 41st card in the deck. 1 copy of Mermail Abyss Turge. Right, going into the event, I heard there was a new ruling, which was really interesting, that allows you to, basically, when you pitch a target to the grave as the cost, you can, of course, then add the target back. And that target will still resolve in hand, so you can send heavy infantry and back to hand and resolve its effect. And I thought at this event, Evil Swarm was going to be quite popular because it topped a recent YCS, it topped 32'd, and of course it's only just become legal, and Mermail is huge, so I thought a lot of players would be playing Evil Swarm. And that was the case. I ended up playing against 3 Evil Swarm players, which is quite a few, I guess. And I managed to resolve this guy's effect to send heavy infantry and bounce it back a couple of times, which was really effective to get around dresses, which meant I could just recharge my play. So this guy was so good, and he also allows you to make really easy Abyss Dweller plays by like going Pike, like ditching a guy to search, so ditching a gun, bringing this guy back in the end, using his effect anyway, and making good Dweller plays and like making loads of pushes, and it was so good. And then the last Mermail I played was 1 Mermail Abyss Gun because I didn't feel the need for 2. I thought 2 was a bit cloggy, so 1 was perfect number, and it was pretty effective. I might bump back up to 2, but like 2 can be really cloggy, and I don't like that. I wanted to play for consistency over the rounds, and I feel I played a consistent deck. Then for the Atlanteans, I played 3 copies of Dragoons. I didn't see this nearly as much as I would have wanted to. I saw it mostly off of the Diva Marksman plays. Like I saw Diva so often, but like I would have liked to have this in hand more often. And then 3 Marksman. This Marksman is too good. And then finally 3 heavy infantry. I felt that Evil Swarm was going to be really good going into this event, and I felt the fire was a good deck as well, so I wanted to have outs to kind of big monsters. My opponents like Tiger Kings, my opponents Ophions, things like that. And I just felt that the card was good overall, and I don't regret playing it. Like, it was really, really good. I had it when I needed it, so the 3 heavy infantry was really, really good. I'm looking for another super one so I can finally like bump all these 3 to super. So I want to get rid of the German Lantians I have. They're getting in the way. And then the final monster I played was 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva, which was, I guess, one of the MVPs. Like, this just got me out of so many tight situations. Like, there were games where I was under fissure or macro, and I was just able to kind of play the game out without even making Megalo summons and things like that, just by beating down with this and Marksman, and just making cool techie combo plays. Either way, that is that's the monsters. I believe it's 28. I forget the number exactly, but I believe it's somewhere in the region of 28. Then for the spells, I played 1 copy of Reborn, the Dark Hole, the Heavy, the Avarice, which someone tried to shark me on because it's German, which I'll talk about later. But he asked me if I had a translation for it, and tried to shark me for foreign cards, which made me sad. But luckily it's Avarice, so everyone knows what it does. 2 salvage. These were really subpar. I think I resolved 1 against Jake. In Swiss, I never resolved this. I hardly ever drew it, and when I did draw it, it was dead. So, like, this is a card I actually consider taking out for, like, Lances. I really found myself wanting Lances over the event, because the amount of fire I played against was outrageous. But the 2 salvage, I guess, does the trick. But in testing it was good, but in Swiss it was awful. The only time I resolved it was against Jake Quincy for my winning game too. That's the only time I ever used it. And then the 3 copies of MST. That is the spells. Oh, and also I had these like really often for spheres. I was really happy to actually have these for spheres. And I only hit Tenki once with this. Like, my opponents were always able to resolve Tenki against me, and that was why I never 2-0'd a Firefist player, I think. And then the traps were really simple. The traps were 3 copies of Abyss Sphere, the best trap, and, well, doesn't have much competition. And then the last 2 were 2 copies of Breakthrough Skill. The traps were line up across the event was really varied. Loads of Mermail players were playing very varying traps, but I felt that Breakthrough Skill was very, very good, and I thought it was exceptionally good over Fiendish Chain, because Fiendish Chain, when you're playing against Mermail, you will always be holding your MSTs to hit their spheres. So ultimately, when you activate your Fiendish Chain, they're quite often going to have the MST in hand to kill the Fiendish Chain. So I felt the Breakthrough Skill was going to be a lot more effective, because they then couldn't chain MST to it. So yeah. And, like, it's not going to get blind space because they're really afraid of blind spacing your sphere. So I felt that it was literally going to sit there until the time was right. And it did. It would just sit there and sit there and sit there until I could Breakthrough Skill a Marksman or Breakthrough Skill a Dweller or an Ophion. So that card was so good. Then for the extra is really, really standard. I don't think it's changed since I first built the deck. And I don't think, like, there are changes I would make now. Like, double Gaios is really bad, in my opinion now. But I played the 1 Armory Arm, which I made loads. This was so good. Like, it should just beat down. The 1 Armory, the 1 Librarian. I made this a couple of times, namely to beat over Catastor. Like, my opponent nicked my Catastor with a Big Eye, and I just beat over the Catastor and dealt with a Big Eye next turn. Catastor, because it's Catastor, it's just really, really good. Put in so much work. Dularan, because it's Dularan, and pluses are pluses are pluses, and it was so dynamic. Gungnir. Actually, I only made this once, and when I did, it was devastating. Like, I went Gungnir, ditch 2 Dragoons, set up the Megalo play, and, like, kill your entire field, and then go Megalo derp. It was so good. Black Rose. I used this once. And then Scrap Dragon. I used this once. I didn't think I was actually going to make Scrap Dragon, but I played it because I was kind of comfortable with everything else in my extra, so I didn't really feel the need for it. And it won me a game. So, yeah. Scrap Dragon. That is the synchros. The Exceeders were 1 Z mains. I had to take out my German secret because I was worried about getting sharked, so I had to play this horrible super, and I ended up making it once. I had 2 level 7s and a face down Lind, and my opponent went Sphere when I attacked, and I didn't have a way to deal with whatever he brought out. Like, I was really fearing the heavy infantry, so I just went Big Eye, nicked his Lind, flipped my Lind up and made this, and he couldn't come back from it. So that was really effective. Then the Leviathan Dragon, I never made this by its own effect. I always brought it out by Bahamut Shark. I only brought it out once by Bahamut Shark, but that's the only time I ever used it. Then One Abyss Trite, I made this a couple of times, of course, so only off of Bahamut Shark. I never summoned it of its own effect. Then I played the Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark was okay. I made it, I think, 3 times. The best time I actually used it was to beat over an Ophion, because 26 is huge. I should take out his back row and then through a variety of Pike Turge plays, using and recycling Gund and Marksman, and it was just so good, so good. Then I played one Dweller, which was really, really devastating in the mirror, and I just made him so often, to be fair. Like, it was just probably like the best Xyz I played. Then I played one number 11 Big Eye, which I made like twice, but when I did make it, it was game changing. And then I made 2 copies of Abyss Guys, which is probably the card I made most in the extra deck. Because like, this deck doesn't really rely on the extra deck, and it can win games without even touching it. It can win entire matches without touching it. But like the extra deck really does complement it, and I feel that Gaius was incredible. So that's the extra for the side. Of course, the deck divider, the Nyancat deck divider. Because I had a Nyancat deck box. Yeah, the best deck box ever. I played 2 Effect Veiler. I felt this was going to be a much better out to effects such as Infernity, the Infernity Arcfiend searches, and the kind of Ophion plays to try and search the Pandemic, or also like to Veiler the Ophion and then Sphere so I can make a big guy and be over it. But I never drew these. Like I put them in against Infernity and Evil Swarm, and I never drew them in either of the matchups, so that was bad. 2 Maxi for the mirror. That's basically the only reason I played the Maxis, and like wind up if I know wind up. Like one wind up player, but did manage to top. 2 DD Warrior Lady. I discussed this card on Fuzzy's channel because he ended up deck profiling me. But DD Warrior Lady was an incredible pick. It was incredibly effective because of the fact that it has a 1600 ass. It's able to not be killed by bear and things like that. So in the fire matchup, it's quite effective. But where it really comes into its own is versus Evil Swarm, because of the fact that when you have this set, if your opponent runs into it with an Ophion, they are not going to be able to dress it or anything. This thing is just instantly remove it. So this card was so dynamic, and against the Rabbit matchup, it's very, very good as well. Like if they don't have Dolka, it's going to kill whatever runs into it. While I appreciate its Snowman, it has a great amount of synergy with the deck. I just felt that the DD Warrior Ladies were really effective, and they were really, really good when I used them. Then for the traps, I played 2 copies of Imperial Iron Wall. This card was insane. There's like I think it was easily the best side deck card that I played all event. The 2 Imperial Iron Walls dealt with so many back row cards like Deep Prison, Bottomless, Rabbits. I know it's not a back row card, but meh. And then the back rows and fissures. Like there were players like Fire Fist and Evil Swarm. There were 2 players in the entire event who actually still tried to activate Bottomless or Deep Prison under Iron Wall, and I had to remind them, and it ended up like shutting down their entire back row board, and this was just so good. Like you don't even need Decree with this against certain decks, because it just deals with so many problem cards. I played 2 copies of Dust Tornado, because it's Dust Tornado. After deck profiling Simon Heat, I realised that these really should have been Twisters, because they don't synergize very well with Royal Decree, which I play in the side. So they really should have been Twisters, but they did their job. They were very, very effective. My opponents MST'd them quite a lot, so I was able to go +1. Like they got blind space so often, and I don't understand why, but I was able to go +1 really often with that, and like set a Sphere from hand. Then I played the 2 Debunks. These were really, really good. I only resolved 1, but when I did, it was game changing, and I ended up winning that mirror. They were just solely for the mirror match. They would never win in ever in any other games. And this one's called Italian, which Cupcakey got me, so I love it. And then the final card I played in the side was 3 copies of Royal Decree. Royal Decree was really effective throughout the event. I didn't side it in nearly as much as I thought it was going to, but against Evil Swarm and Infernity, this card was so good. Like it won me the game 2 against Infernity that I needed to try and take the match back, but definitely came into its own. And I would not remove it. It was very, very good. So that was the complete deck profile. Let's talk about the matchup, shall we? Like what I played, and like put some cool Mermail stuff on the camera, just to like keep people occupied. Because I worry about boring you. So I'm gonna look up the list on Cupcakey's phone because I wrote it all down. Right, so round 1 I ended up playing against the Mermail mirror match, which was great because I've been testing the Mermail mirror with my friend James, who I do owe a shout out to. My friend James Pritchard had helped me test the Mermail mirror until the early hours of Saturday morning. I ended up playing Mermail first round. I 2-1'd him. It's like literally channeling everything he taught me, so I was so happy with that. Round 2 I ended up playing against Infernity, against someone who goes to one of my locals in Kempston. He ended up 1-2ing me. I ended up putting him in quite a bad position where he had like a bad hand, and he ended up topping launcher, dark rolling his own field, activating launcher, bringing everything back and just going for game, like off of that, and it was horrible. I had game next turn myself as well. Round 3 I ended up playing against Firefist and 2-1 in that. Round 4 I ended up playing against another player from Milton Keynes, who was playing Evil Swarm, and I 2-1 that matchup. So I'm now, that would put me at 3-1. Round 5 I ended up playing against Firefist, and going 2-1 again. Firefist I really considered a very easy matchup. Round 6 I ended up going up against, I believe, Sam Riddings, a member of Team XYZ, who's playing Evil Swarm, and he's probably the best Evil Swarm player I've ever been up against. He makes the most incredible reads that I've ever seen, and I'm really not upset about my loss to him. And he ended up beating me 2-0. Game 1 he made just some incredible plays, and then game 2 he had fissure and made reads on every DD Warrior lady that I've got, so he just did absolutely crazily. Then round 7 I ended up, that then put me on the bubble. I had to play 4 rounds on the bubble to try and top. I then ended up playing against Firefist, going 2-1. The Mermail mirror against Sam Bentham, and I ended up 2-1ing that matchup. And then round 9 I played against someone who watches my YouTube. He was playing Macro Rabbit, and turn 1 he ended up going, like, turn 1 game 1, I thought he'd seen the bottom card of my deck, because he ended up going Dolka turn 1 against me, and I was like, why are you doing that? And I found out later on he'd been watching my channel, so that was how he knew. And then in round 10, we had a very interesting round in the form of both myself and my opponent ended up getting a game loss in this round. My opponent had had his Brotherhood of the Firefist Bears bent, and I had made a deck error. I had written a Mermail Abyss Teus when I should have written Mermail Abyss Turge on my deck list. And we both ended up taking game loss, and we played 1 game on the bubble, and I ended up opening the absolute nuts, and I'm not even sorry, and I ended up going like Megalo, Gaius, Pike, Tribute Pike, take 1 card out of hand, make Gaius, set Sphere, set Breakthrough, go. He just couldn't recover from that because he opened 2 Warwolves, and it was crazy. So that put me through the top. And then top 32, I ended up playing against the Martin Fisher, the round 5 Firefist player that I 2-1'd before. I ended up 2-1'ing him again. And then in top 16, I played against Jake Quincy. And he ended up winning game 1. Game 2, I managed to set up the OTK by storming and OTKing. And then game 3, we both opened quite bad. And then he ended up managing to make a really dynamic play with lead Moulin and taking 3 cards out of my hand and ended up winning. So ultimately, like, it was a really good tournament. For prizes, I ended up winning this playmat, which was great. 2 sets of these World Championship qualifier green sleeves. These are really, really nice. They're 80 count. They come in, like, they're huge. And I ended up winning 1 box of Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, which I opened, and it was okay. It could have been in a better box. It wasn't Dracosac. It was Torrential Reborn. I wasn't very happy with that, but there was some interesting stuff in it. And like, I was just happy to be able to win free products. I don't have very much money at the moment, but otherwise, this hasn't had as much pomp and circumstance as the last year's video. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I don't think I have much else to say. Any comments or questions about my build or anything you want to ask about the event, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. And if you ended up seeing me at the event, I'm really bad at recognizing faces because of course you all have usernames and not display pictures. So if you guys saw me at the event or played me at the event, please feel free to comment down below. It's been great seeing everyone, and it was definitely a very good event. And stay tuned because I will be doing a winding down Nationals live stream with Fuzzy XYZ and Alintheo and probably some other special guests. Those are the same guys that I did a live stream with earlier on about preparing for Nationals. So I hope you guys look forward to that. And otherwise, this has been Jamie the Kid 00 with a top 16 mono Mermail deck profile. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.